your hand through and guide from both sides.
So the further you step down the pedal, the faster the needle goes?
Yes.
And then the wheel over there controls, it's the clutch, so if you pull back,
the foot pedal is the clutch. The hand wheel does basically exactly what the accelerator does, just gives you a bit more control.
So the wheel is the accelerator, that's the speed, and the foot is the clutch.
The foot does everything. The foot is brake, and then clutch, and then accelerator as you go through the pedal cycle. The hand wheel is another way to advance through the stitch cycle instead of using the foot pedal. As you can see from the foot pedal, she presses it down a lot. She's taking a whole bunch of stitches, right? If you need half a stitch, the hand wheel is going to give you control to just move forward that half stitch without having to guess how far down to push the pedal.
So how do you do this? Like when she gets to the end, you know how we're used to pull.
Does that make sense?
A little.
I think what happens is when you use the wheel to sort of do half a stitch or one stitch, you have to just push the pedal down a little bit to get the wheel to control the needles. So the pedal does everything, or you just push it down a little bit, and then your hand wheel can actually make just a couple of stitches if you just want to go a teeny bit, right? Because if you're pushing on the pedal, it's just going to go, and you might go 3 inches, or you might go 5 inches. But if you want to just do half an inch, then you want I think this is how I understand it. You release, push the pedal a teeny bit, and then it just makes the wheel free so that your hand can then control how many stitches you do.
All right. Well, I'll get on there after all you girls go, and I'll see what it does.
So it will make more sense when you do the hands-on.
Yeah. This is gonna be like TIG welding, but different.
This machine also is going to be totally different from the other two.
Right.
So then hold off on finding that clutch position. Just get used to the foot pedal because it can take off very suddenly if you're at all left foot, which I could be on. So you'll still want to guide with that with your left hand. And then just keep pushing gently down on the pedal until you start getting it. So I see what you mean.
And keeping it straight.
It's a challenge. You'll get used to it.
So then I just keep going until it comes out.
You've got a long enough chain, you can reach that thread cutter. Just going to pull it off. Perfect.
So if you don't drag it through and you just step on the pedal, it'll just keep stitching in the same spot.
It will always form a chain. It will always send that chain out the back.
So now when are you doing this? Like at the bottom of a dress, at the bottom, when are you using this?
We'll actually come back to that as soon as we get through the hands off a bit more.
So now what do I do here? I just
So once you're comfortable with the speed, I want you to stitch into it a little bit. Just get halfway down the fabric.
See, I'm used to pushing this, so what do you do? You just kind of carefully wrap it in your finger.
Yeah, and if you want to, you can use the black foot pedal there. You can lift up the dresser foot.
Oh, I see.
But you don't have to. That's mostly for taller fabrics that get something on their own. Alright, and then stop. I want you to push down the foot pedal just enough until this handle loosens up. Because you feel like it's very, very springy. So a little bit more and more resting this time. Looks like you're still working too hard, so push down the pedal just a little more.
Oh, you're saying press down while you do this?
Yeah, you don't find that clutch.
Oh, I see.
position.
Yeah, I see what you mean, like this.
Yeah. So you want to become very comfortable with that clutch position, and you adjust the stitch length, you will need to be able to find that clutch point very accurately. So go ahead and stop, find that clutch position again. That's it.
Okay, so let's take a little practice.
Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to jump in briefly and talk a little bit more about that chain I was saying.
So it'll just be like if you don't move it, the chain just gets longer and longer and longer.
Yeah, so this is the chain. It's our gathering of thread. And what you can do is just not have any fabric in there and keep getting more and more chain. And I'm just holding it now to kind of get it out of the way so it doesn't form a tangle.
Right.
But you can just keep running chain out as long as you need to. And sometimes you're going to need to run out a bit of extra chain just to give yourself space to move the fabric around and do whatever you need to do. Then you end up with this rather useless snarl, but that's all right.
So now how do you if you're finishing a piece of fabric this way, like say you do the bottom of the sleeve,
Yes.
okay, you don't want these big chains hanging off the end. How do you get it so that those are tied up? You just overlock it with a regular stitch somewhere? Or
There
machine,
are a bunch of different ways to tie off your end here before you cut it.
Yeah.
If you're going to be stitching this into another seam later, you don't even need to worry about tying it off. You can just trim it, and then the stitch going over the top is going to secure it. If this is going to be the finished edge, the easiest thing to do is just to tie an overhand knot in the chain. Being very klutzy that way. So just your basic overhand knot there. Scooch it down as close to the fabric as you can get it. And then trim just past the knot. But that's going to leave a little bit of a lump. So for more advanced techniques, I'm going to refer you to Google, because there are hundreds of different answers about the best knot to use to tie it off, whether or not you should undo the chain and stitch each bit through between the needle points and the fabric. So if you look along here, we have several different threads. And if you look at the yellow thread, I think it's easier to see on this fabric. We've got stitch points where the needle plunges through the fabric about every 1/8 inch. We can make that longer or shorter. So that is our stitch length, is the distance between these needle points. To adjust the stitch length, we're going to pop open this front panel here. And there is a little metal spinny thing that sometimes gets in the way that's mostly useless, but it's there. To adjust the stitch length, we need to pop open this silver panel, and there's a little lever right here. You're just going to push down and it'll pop open. So the stitch length mechanism on the serger is very weird compared to a basic sewing machine. What we're going to do is we're going to push down on this black button here, and it's going to go halfway in. We then need to find that clutch position and turn the hand wheel until the button goes all the way in. That's why you need to be able to find the clutch position very accurately. If you end up hitting the accelerator while you're pushing this button in, it will do very bad things to the inner workings of the machine. Now, as soon as that button goes in, I take my foot off of the pedal, because I do not want to be finding the accelerator. And now, I'm going to take, you would leave your thumb on the button here, but come over here and have a look at what we're doing. While the button is pressed in, this mark on the edge here is lined up to a scale, which is determining our stitch length. So right now we're actually on 4, which is almost the longest, which kind of surprises me. So all you do is continue to hold this button in and turn the hand wheel to get to whatever stitch length you want. This is the one time the hand wheel should feel very stiff. But just look at the scale, mark it up to where you want. When you're done, let go of the button, close everything up, and grab your fabric and do a little bit of stitching to see if that is what you're looking for. So let me scooch over there, grab that fabric again. Actually, I'm going to move this table
This
around
closed?
a bit. There we go. Give us some more workspace. Now it can stay open.
Alright.
Having this closed is good because it supports your fabric if you've got a large piece, but for large portions of class today, it's going to be easier to just work with it open. Alright, so for comparison, longer stitch length, shorter stitch length. I didn't make a huge change, so that's not a huge difference, but that's the general idea to it. It looks like we're about ready for another scrap of fabric, so I'm going to get a woven fabric for the next one. That'll give us a more cooperative piece of material and also a better visual for what this stitch is. So this one's tangy. Alright, so I'd like each of you to go ahead and adjust the stitch length. Who's up first? Okay.
Okay, so you open out and you open this thing with
Yeah, just push that down.
Okay, then you push this down halfway.
And then clutch position again, Jill. Still pretty wiggly. You should feel that button go all the way in.
I'm working on it. Just don't want to like damage the machine, so this chair's are.
No, but that's
It'd be better to have something that doesn't roll, I think.
You can feel that rattling.
Yeah.
If you're worried about the clutch position, you can actually just take your foot off the pedal and turn it that half turn or whatever the brake engaged. That's okay, but it will eventually wear the machine out. So finding the clutch position is better.
So now we
Alright,
got
foot off the pedal.
Still holding that in.
And go ahead and take it to either the longest or shortest.
Alright, so which, I'm turning it this way, right?
This way is the shortest.